Okay, so today we're starting a pretty, it's a long piece, it's a relevant piece, um, and it deals with two melachot kind of that roll together, or three, which is boneh v'soter, which means to build something and to deconstruct or to tear something down. So those are two melachot. That one is the undoing of the other. Umakeh b'patish, which means which is the hardest melacha to define. Makeh b'patish means literally means hit it with a hammer. It means the final blow. It means that this melacha is you can't finish the job. We're going to explain all of it. But again, these three kind of all tie together. Boneh, building, soter, taking down, and makeh b'patish, which means the final blow, the final hammer's blow, completing the job. Okay, those are the things that we're going to talk about. It's going to take us a little bit of time, so we're probably going to do, I guess today's Tuesday, we'll do tomorrow. We're not going to finish, so it's going to have to wait a little bit, which, okay, one that makes me wonder about the wisdom of starting it, but okay, we follow the order that we have, and we'll stick with it. So it says the following thing. We'll start with the beginning. Hatokeya etz ba'etz, ben shetaka b'masmer, ben shetaka ba'etz atzmo ad shenit'echad, hare ze toladat boneh. So let's start with the first sentence. Someone that tokeya means to kind of make stick together. Two pieces of wood, whether or not you use some kind of nail or screw or something else, or even if you found a way to make the wood stay together, just using the wood itself, like the Lincoln log building blocks, if there's grooves or something like that in the wood, if you found a way to make the wood stay together, that is boneh. That's the basic level of boneh, building on Shabbat. And you would be hayav from the Torah and bring a korban and so on. So that's a serious item. And so, since that's the case, so too are the following cases, and we're going to expand upon these. So keep them in your mind, but hold off because there's variations of these. Let's say you have a shovel, right? And a shovel generally has two parts. It has the handle, which is wood, and then it has the the rod, we'll call it. I don't want to use the word handle because the handle could mean the top piece, but meaning the part that you hold, the long part, right? And the shovel, which is the part that digs in the ground, right? And usually you have to take the two pieces and stick them together. It says by doing that, you've built. By taking the wood piece and the metal piece and putting them together and making them one, you have built something, and that is forbidden on Shabbat. He said, or the reverse, right? On top of the wood stick is a handle, right? That you use to, get in there, right? Same thing. If you put the handle into the piece of wood, that too would be building on Shabbat. Whether you use some kind of nail or glue, or it just slots in or something like that, it would all be a problem. And so too, if you take it apart, right? If you break it out, right? If you pull the piece out of the shovel or pull the handle off the rod, so though that would be soter, that would be taking apart. And for any of those things would be chayav. So too, a very similar situation, right? Many, you may have knives in the kitchen that the handle and the blade are two different pieces. And to put the blade into the handle, that would be boneh. And to take the blade out of the handle would be spare, to take apart. So these are serious things, and they can't be done. So that's okay. That's the basic idea of the melacha. We're going to see that there's a lot more to it, and a lot of things can go into it. But the idea of building constructively or deconstructing something that was built, those are things that are considered boneh and soter. So
Rabbi, it's very simple. Oh, sorry, go.
No, you can go first.
Oh, I just want a toy is a problem and a rector set, and you think
we're gonna
a
get
toy.
to it. We're gonna get to
Okay,
it. We're gonna get to it. Toys,
So
if
something is 3 pieces and you only put 2 pieces together, is that
that's
building?
still a problem. It's a good question. It's still
It's
a problem.
halfway?
Yeah. It doesn't. You don't have to complete it. Actually, as we're going to see, when you complete something, then that's a whole nother. It's an additional problem. So there might be an additional issue when that happens. But just taking 2 pieces together and making it, connect. We're not talking about lying one piece on top of another. We'll get to all the details, but right now we're talking about there's some kind of connection that happens as a result of what your action is doing. Okay, look at this next one, which is an interesting one, and we're going to see different versions of this one. So hold off, but listen. Mita shel perakim says a bed that has parts to it, right? So what does that mean? He says it's made out of parts, and usually they use it for travel, right? So that they could take it from one place to another, and when they get to the place, they start putting it all together, right? So something like that. Kind of like the military cots, or even the truth is a bed frame that we have, the standard one that comes from the store, right? It has the metal pieces, it folds up, but 2 hold together and you lock them in place. Asur, you're not allowed to put it together on Shabbat. He says if, and we're going to come back to this, if it's already put together and it just needs some kind of tightening or pulling or something like that, then it would be okay. So what's the example of this? A pack and play. You guys familiar with a pack and play? Just nod your heads if you know what I'm talking about. A pack and play is, I know they invented them in the middle of my children. They weren't popular until like my 3rd or 4th kid. But so it's like a baby crib that's portable, and the way that it works is it's all put together when you get it out of the box. It folds up into a very nice little stand, and you just pull the top piece and it folds up, or you push it down and the whole thing opens up into a crib.
It's a playpen.
Like a playpen, like a playpen, but the more common version of the newer version of the playpen. When I say newer version, last 10, 15 years. Before that, the playpen, you had to actually put it together. This, you don't have to put it together. You kind of just, it comes together out of the box, and you just press down or lift up, and then it either folds into the folding position or not. Similar to a folding chair or a lounge chair or something like that, where you're not putting it together, you're just unfolding it. That is not a problem. That you're allowed to do. And that's different in the sense that you're not building anything. It's already together, and you're just putting it in the position that it can be used. So we're going to have to talk about what else fits into this category, a number of different things. But for now, that pack and play device, the folding chairs, the folding tables, those are all okay. Those are going to be allowed, whereas some other things are not. We'll explain as we go along. Good. Next thing. Safsal, a bench or a chair. Shnishmat echad miraglav. One of the legs fell off. Asur lahachziro lemkomo. You can't put it back in on Shabbat because that would be building, right? So I'm looking at my couch or my table or my chair, and one of the legs fell off. You can't reinsert that leg. It says afilu, but it says vasur. Sorry, vafilu la'asotor ofef asur. It says you can't even put it loosely, even though it's not permanently in, because you're going to come to fix it. He says, and even asur laniach et otot tzad hashamud al safsal acher ulashevet alav gezerah shemei yavol et kol haregel elam ken yashav alav pam achat kodem hashabbat. You can't even take some other item and put it underneath to prop it under, because they're concerned that if you do that, you're going to come to fix it on Shabbat. So let's say the leg falls off, right? And I say, oh, okay, I'm not going to use the leg. I'm going to take something else. I'm going to take a stack of books. I'm going to take a hockey stick. I don't know, whatever, something. I'm going to stick it under and it'll hold it up until after Shabbat. You can't do that because the concern that if we allow you to do that, then you're just going to go and fix the thing on Shabbat, which you're not allowed to do. The only exception to that would be if it happened before Shabbat, right? So let's say it happens, 10 minutes before Shabbat, and you see, the leg on the chair or the bench or the couch broke off, and now you want to use that on Shabbat. You don't have the time to really fix it, so you take something to prop it up from before Shabbat, right? You stick a few books on the couch. You stick a few books underneath, or I don't know, some other way that you find a way to prop it up. If you propped it up from before Shabbat, that's okay, because you were using it on Shabbat that way. And then even on Shabbat, if it moves a little bit or something like that, you're able to put it back in its place because it's already set like that and it's already okay. You're not going to be, you've made it clear you're not fixing it on Shabbat. Okay? Yeah, good? Okay. Tri shel chalon sheitkalkel o yatsa memesilato. Says some kind of window shade that broke or that came off its track on Shabbat. And if you're thinking about Israelis, right, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Israeli window shade, which they call the tris, where it's built into the wall kind of on a track, much like the steel awnings on storefronts are. In Israel, just about everybody has what's called these trisim. Trisim are a particular type of Israeli window shade. They're made out of plastic. They're on a track in the window, there's like a band along the window that it's almost like a rope that you pull up or down, but it's all on a track and it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And to open it and close it is not a problem. It says, but if it came off the track, right, and now you're going to try and put it back on the track, you're going to try and do repairs to the window shade, that is forbidden. You're not allowed to repair the window shade. He says you can't touch the window shade at that point because it's broken and there's no use that you have for it. He says, and you can't even, the window shade at the top has kind of like a box, which when it's all the way open, it rolls into. He says, you can't even open the box to examine it and see what I could do. You can't touch it. Once it's broken, you can't touch it till after Shabbat because we're not allowed to be fixing things on Shabbat. Okay. ילדים שהוציאו בשבת מגירה של ארון המחובר לקרקע, מותר להחזיר בשבת את המגירה למקומה, ואין בזה חשש של איסור בונה, וכן הדין במגירות טלסקופיות שיש להם פטנט שאי אפשר להוציאם לגמרי מהארון, אלא רק על ידי סילוק הכפית שעוצר אותם מלהוציאם, שגם מגירות כאלו מותר להחזירם אם יצאו לגמרי. He says, let's say a draw came out of its socket, right? And this happens every once in a while, right? Especially with the kids is what he's describing, right? You have a drawer in the kitchen or in the bedroom or whatever that pulled out, right? And you just want to put it back in. You're able to put it back in. He says, even if it's the one that's on the tracks and so on, even that you're allowed to put back in because it's already made, it's already built, it's not a problem. Now, if it's broken to the point that you need to start nailing or screwing or twisting or something like that, that's a problem. But if it just clicks in and clicks out, as most of them do today, it's not a problem. It's the way that it's made, it's part of it. You're not building anything, you're not adding anything new to it. And so therefore you'd be allowed to kind of pop the drawer back into its sliding space.
Rabbi, on the point from before,
yeah.
Just curious, like let's say in an apartment where that shade breaks and that's your only source of light. So now you're sitting in the dark.
Your only source of light.
Yeah, like you could think of a condo where in the living room there's only one window.
Right. No, I hear you. I'm listening. I'm thinking about it. So first of all, it's an Israeli shade, which is on a track. So So a couple of possibilities. Number one, you could have a non-Jew do it. To either roll it up or pull it down or something like that. I would say a non-Jew would be able to do it in that instance. But let's say you don't have a non-Jew available, and it's really your only source of light. I would say if you could do it with a change, like your elbow or something like that's not using your hands, which would probably be difficult given the difficulty of doing it in the first place, that might be something that you could do also. But after that, I don't know. You still can't do it. If you were to ask me if there was no light in the room, other than if I turn on the light, I'd say you can't turn on the light. So it's kind of the same. I'm just offering some alternatives that would be similar to that situation. Yeah. Okay. You can't take a door or a window out of its fixed place, right? So you can't pull the door out of the hinges, or you can't take the window out of its track or something like that. And if they came out on their own, the windows generally don't come out and the doors certainly don't come out. But if they did, you're not allowed to put it back together, right? So let's say you had a door that, I don't know how, but maybe someone came along, right? Someone played a practical joke on you and pulled the screws out of the hinge. And now you want to put the door back on the hinge. You cannot do that. In terms of putting it in the hinges. If, let's say, your house was now like just wide open, you would be able to put the door in the slot without putting the hinges in the door.
So a screen door, let's say it comes off of the slides, could you put it back on?
Leave it till after Shabbat. You should not put that in. Yeah, I would say that would be the same type of thing. That's something that is a lot more common. The screen door, it kind of pops off. I would say, yeah, you shouldn't put that back in the track either. That's kind of very similar to what we're talking about. I'd want to think, I wonder about the screen door, but I think it's still a problem. Let's read. There's one more thing two more halachot we'll read. One is, let's say you have a window or window shades that, like, what do? Sorry, I'm going to do it this way. They open and close, right? You have an open and close of the window shade. And over here, you have some kind of nail or peg or bolt that holds them together when they're closed, or, something like that. Can I open them, take the nail out or lift it up or whatever, or close it, right, and put the nail in? And the answer is yes, because that's something it's already made. You're not building anything. You're just locking something into place, not so similar to the bolt that you put on your door, right? Which, would I not be allowed to do that? And the answer is, in both cases, you are allowed to do that. Because it's already built for that purpose and made that way from before Shabbat. However, you can't do that for the first time, right? You can't create that situation on Shabbat. And so too, you can't put all sorts of pegs for the first time on Shabbat, right? So, like, let's say to hang a picture frame, I can't put a nail in the wall or something of that nature, or a peg to hang my jacket or something of like that. I can't set that up in any way, shape, or form. However, if that peg exists already, to hang my coat, to hang my book bag, to hang the picture frame, I'm allowed to put those things on there. So I'm allowed to put my coat on a hook. I'm allowed to put my coat on something that maybe wasn't even being used as a hook beforehand, but it was in its place. I could put the coat on there. If there's a nail in the wall, I can hang the picture on the nail because it's already there. I didn't do anything. So for all those things, if it's already built, then it's allowed and it's not a problem. There's a lot more to go on this, as I was saying. So let's take a couple of questions and then we'll pick up with this tomorrow. Yeah, questions.
Okay. You mentioned that the knife you can't put in the sheath, I think you call it.
Yeah.
But what about a wood block? Because those are like common in kitchens. You know, they have the knife sets that go into the wood
That's fine.
block.
That's a cover that's for it already, and it's not connected. That's just holding it in its place. So that's not a problem.
Okay.
The problem is where you're constructing it. You're sticking it so that it becomes, semi-permanent. That's where it becomes a problem.
Okay. And just a second question. I think maybe we once said that a bike, you could pump a bike on Shabbat, like
So we're going to talk about that. That's going to be something we're going to get to.
So it's not part of Bnei where you're connecting.
We're going to talk about that.
Okay, fine.
Really, I'm going to recommend against doing that. I'm going to recommend against doing that.
Okay. Fine. Thank you.
What's the difference between putting the track, the screen door back on a track and a drawer back on the track?
So the drawer, it's a good question. And the way that the halacha looks at it is that one is pre-constructed and made to be taken out, and the other is not. Meaning the drawer can be taken out as part of its normal use. So that's why they allow it. If that's true of the sliding door, then it might be okay, and that's why I hesitated before.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Take care, guys.
Okay.
Brother.